My girlfriend said, "You're not good for my feed." Days later, her followers discovered screenshots that turned her whole carefully built online image into a public scandal. She didn't even look up when I left, just angled her phone, adjusted the lighting, and smiled at herself. The perfect, filtered version of a life that didn't include me. The laughter behind me was soft, plastic, the kind people rehearse for content. I drove off without music, just the hum of traffic and that sentence looping in my head. "You're bad for my feed." Amber had said a lot of strange things during our relationship about algorithms, brand synergy, engagement metrics, but this one hit differently. It wasn't just rejection. It was disqualification. I wasn't aesthetic enough to fit her digital universe. As I sat in my parked car under the Texas sun, I scrolled through her page. Beaches, brunches, collaborations. Every photo looked like a magazine spread. I wasn't in a single one from the last 6 months. Deleted, cropped out, rewritten. I wasn't her boyfriend anymore. I was bad optics. And for the first time I realized maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Driving home that night, I felt like the punchline of someone else's joke. 31, steady job in IT, 72 grand a year, an old Honda that rattled if I went above 70. To me, that was a life built on quiet reliability. To Amber, it was a brand mismatch, a vibe that didn't photograph well. But somewhere between the stoplights and the silence, something in me shifted. I wasn't angry, not yet, just clear. That sentence, "You're bad for my feed," wasn't an insult. It was a revelation. I'd been living to keep someone else's imaginary audience happy. The next morning, I walked into my boss's office. "Give me the hard clients," I said. He looked up from his coffee. "Ryan, those accounts eat people alive." "Then I'll chew back." He studied me for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, you asked for it." The next 6 months were a blur of caffeine and spreadsheets. 14-hour days, weekends blurred into Mondays, calls with clients who treated time zones like suggestions. I missed birthdays, skipped sleep, lived off delivery sushi and cold brew. But beneath the exhaustion, there was a hum, a current of purpose I hadn't felt in years. Every time I wanted to quit, I'd hear Amber's voice in my head. "You're just not good for my feed." It became a mantra, a dare. By month 4, I'd closed an $870,000 contract with a logistics firm no one else could land. Then 2 more in quick succession. My manager pulled me into his office, handed me a bonus check big enough to make my hands shake. "Didn't think you had this gear in you," he said. "Neither did I," I replied. Promotion came next, senior account manager. Base salary jumped to $105,000 plus commissions. I upgraded the Honda to a black Tesla, partly practical, partly symbolic. I wasn't chasing anyone's approval anymore, but I wasn't hiding my success either. Still, the irony wasn't lost on me. All this started because one woman told me I wasn't photogenic enough for her curated reality. The more I climbed, the more I saw how hollow that world had been. Amber's followers, her brand, her fake smiles. All of it ran on fumes of validation. My world, the one she dismissed as boring, ran on results. On things that lasted longer than 24-hour stories. I started taking small steps outside of work, too. Reconnected with old friends I'd ignored because she thought they weren't networking material. Went hiking again. Read actual books instead of scrolling through filtered vacations. Then one afternoon, about 8 months after the cafe breakup, I got a message on LinkedIn. Amber L., digital marketing consultant. "Hey stranger," smiling face with smiling eyes, "long time. Just saw your post about the promotion. Congrats. You've really leveled up since we last talked. Would love to catch up sometime." I stared at the message for a full minute, then laughed out loud. The timing was surgical. She must have seen the announcement post from my company's page, the one with my name, title, and new salary bracket tagged. I didn't reply, but I didn't block her either. Not yet. Part of me was curious. Curious what she'd do if she thought she could rebrand me now that I looked marketable. That night, I scrolled through her Instagram again. Same pastel filters, same brand partnerships, but fewer likes than before. The captions had started to sound desperate. Manifesting my next big project dizzy. Influencer speak for nothing's working. The switch wasn't just in my job or my bank account. It was in me. Amber used to say I was too offline, too content with the ordinary. But the truth was, I'd been disconnected from myself. Now, for the first time in years, I was plugged back in, not to her feed but to reality. And reality, it turned out, paid a hell of a lot better. 7 months after the cafe incident, I'd almost forgotten the sound of her voice. Life had evened out into something simple and satisfying. Morning gym, coffee black. A job that didn't drain me anymore because I finally felt like I owned it. The noise of that old life, filters, captions, hashtags, had faded into silence. Then one Monday morning, a notification buzzed across my screen. Tagged by Katie Lewis, one of Amber's influencer circle, the kind who called every latte content. Her post read, "So proud of this guy. Huge career glow up. Hashtag hard work pays off. Hashtag level up. Hashtag proud friend." Below it was a photo of me, lifted straight from my company's LinkedIn post. The caption turned my actual promotion into her feel-good networking moment. I blinked at the screen. Katie had never spoken to me outside of double-tapping Amber's couple photos. And now she was using my success for engagement bait. A minute later, my DMs pinged. "Katie, hey Ryan. OMG, congrats again. Coffee soon." I ignored it, deleted the tag. Thought that would be the end. Then came the next message from her. "Amber, saw your promotion. So happy for you, red heart. You deserve it." The emoji almost made me laugh. The same woman who said I wasn't feed-worthy was suddenly proud of me. Like I was a project that had finally been upgraded to her standards. I typed one word back, "Thanks." 5 minutes later, she sent another. "We should catch up. Dinner maybe? Just as adults. No drama." I scrolled back through old texts until I found it. The screenshot I'd saved from the cafe, "You're not good for my feed." Sent it back with no caption. The typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then nothing. I figured that was the end of it. Lesson learned, dignity intact. But Amber didn't do silence. A week later, my company hosted a networking mixer downtown. Cocktails, live jazz, the kind of event where people practice their smiles. Halfway through chatting with a client, I caught a flash of blonde hair and a familiar perfume. Amber. She'd shown up uninvited, wearing the kind of dress meant for photographs, not conversation. I froze mid-sentence as she approached like it was perfectly normal. "Ryan, there you are," she said loudly, looping her arm through mine as if we'd arrived together. "Everyone's been dying to meet you." I gently unhooked her hand. "Amber, what are you doing here?" "Networking," she said brightly. "This is public, isn't it? Besides, I wanted to support you. You've really come so far since you said I wasn't good enough for your feed." I cut in quietly. Her smile twitched, just for a second. "That was a joke." "No, Amber. It was content." People nearby were starting to stare. She leaned closer, voice dropping to a hiss. "Don't embarrass yourself. You're being immature. Then maybe you should leave before you embarrass yourself." Her jaw clenched. She stormed off, but not before posing for a photo with one of my colleagues, tagging me in it with a caption that read, "So proud of his success. Hashtag full circle." 2 days later, HR called me in. Apparently, Amber had emailed them directly. A long message alleging I'd harassed her at the event, humiliated her publicly, and created a hostile professional environment. My boss slid the printed email across the desk. "This true?" I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots. Every message, every ignored DM, every red heart she'd sent before showing up uninvited. 10 minutes later, HR closed the case. My boss just sighed. "You really do attract interesting people." "Used to," I said. They sent her a formal cease contact notice. She got an official warning from her own PR firm, which apparently didn't appreciate false claims against business partners. I thought that was the final scene. Fade to black. But Amber wasn't done. The next week, my LinkedIn lit up again. A post from her account, subtweeting without names. "Some men can't handle a confident woman in their industry." Jealousy looks ugly in every lighting. Comments flooded in, her loyal followers defending their queen, random strangers offering sympathy. I didn't respond, didn't even screenshot it this time, because by then, I knew something she didn't. Every move she made to destroy my reputation was just fuel. The more she pushed, the more her image cracked. People started noticing the inconsistencies. Mutuals quietly messaging me, asking what really happened. The truth has a way of surfacing without help. I stayed silent, let her drown in her own noise. But silence, to someone addicted to attention, is worse than hate. And that's when things really started to unravel. A week after HR shut her down, Amber went quiet, too quiet. I should have known that meant she was reloading. She wasn't the kind to lick her wounds in private. She curated them for engagement. It started subtly. One of her friends, Katie again, posting a story. People make mistakes. Don't let pride ruin something real. Amber reposted it with a white heart emoji. Then came the flood of messages from her circle. She's hurting, man. Just talk to her. She knows she messed up. You two had something special. Don't throw that away over pride. Pride. Funny word. That's what they call self-respect when it inconveniences someone else. Then came the posts, the vague, emotionally packaged ones designed to bait sympathy. Real love deserves second chances. Healing isn't linear dizzy. Sometimes you have to lose someone to realize what they meant. And the piece de resistance. She started posting us. Old photos, the kind she'd once rejected for not fitting her aesthetic. Me in a plain gray hoodie, her in sunglasses. Us laughing over tacos. Stuff she'd deleted months before because it wasn't brand-aligned. Now it was memories. Caption. Sometimes you only see the value after it's gone. It worked, of course. Her followers flooded the comments. Ah, you guys were perfect together. He needs to forgive you. If he really loved you, he'd come back. And then came the DMs, not from her but from strangers. Dude, she's clearly trying. You're being cold. You're lucky to have someone love you that much. Stop punishing her. Be a man. Be a man. Apparently, being a man meant forgiving public humiliation, false accusations, and emotional manipulation, because the apology came with a filter and soft lighting. I didn't reply to any of it. I just kept living my life. Until the knock came one Sunday morning. It was early, 8:30 a.m. I opened the door, half asleep, and there she was, Amber, holding 2 cups of coffee and a small white box of pastries. Hair down, no makeup, dressed like the girl I first met, or the version of her that used to exist before the followers, before the brand. Ryan, she said softly, eyes glassy. Please don't close the door. I didn't. Not yet. I was wrong, she whispered. About everything. About you. About us. I let all that online stuff get to my head. I forgot what mattered. She looked around my apartment. The same one she used to complain had 0 personality. Now she was studying it like it was a sanctuary. I've changed, she said. Really? I've been doing therapy, trying to unplug from all the noise. I miss being real. I miss you. It was almost convincing, almost. I took a slow sip of coffee, studying her face. If I were still making 70 grand, I said quietly, and driving my old Accord, would you be here? She blinked, caught off guard. That's not fair. Answer the question. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Just silence. Pure, heavy, revealing. That silence was louder than any apology she could have rehearsed. I nodded. That's what I thought. She looked down, the performance slipping. For a second, I saw the truth, not malice, not even calculation, just emptiness. The kind that feeds on attention because it's all it has left. I handed her back the untouched pastry box. Goodbye, Amber. Again. She hesitated at the doorway. You'll regret this, she said softly, not in anger, but in disbelief. As if I'd just broken a rule she thought everyone followed, that she could always come back. I closed the door gently. No shouting, no grand exit. Just quiet. Through the peephole, I watched her stand there a moment longer before walking away. Slower this time, no phone in hand, no selfies. For a while, I stood there, wondering if she'd really change. But the truth settled like dust. People don't outgrow validation. They just rebrand it. Her public rewrite would keep spinning online. The heartbreak posts, the cryptic quotes, the curated vulnerability. But for the first time, I wasn't a character in it. I was free, untagged, uncropped, and finally off her feed. It always happens the same way, first the silence, then the spin. 2 days after I told Amber goodbye for the second and final time, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, the voice was tight, urgent, trembling. "Ryan, this is Carol, Amber's mother." I could already feel where this was going. "You're torturing my daughter," she said. "She's not eating. She's depressed. She cries all day. You have no idea what you've done to her." "Ma'am," I said slowly. "With all respect, she dumped me because I didn't make enough money to match her aesthetic." There was a pause, then a tone shift, guilt dressed as reason. "She just made a mistake. She's young. Can't you find it in your heart to be generous? To talk to her? Generous?" I almost laughed. "She's 30, Mrs. Lane, not 16. And I'm not interested in being part of her social media redemption arc." The call ended with a sigh and a final shot. "You'll regret treating her this way. She's fragile." That word hung in the air, fragile. I'd seen fragile. Amber wasn't fragile. She was dangerous when cornered. Sure enough, 3 days later, a letter arrived at my office. Thick envelope, legal header, certified mail. Inside, a cease and desist. According to the letter, I had defamed and harassed Amber by spreading false information that harmed her professional reputation. Translation: she was mad that people had stopped believing her. I took it straight to my lawyer, Carla, who'd handled my promotion contract. She read the letter once, then burst out laughing. "She's bluffing," Carla said. "Classic image defense maneuver. No real claim here. We'll reply firmly." Our reply was 1 page long, professional, surgical. "Mr. Ryan Lewis has made no false statements, nor engaged in any form of harassment. Any further contact from Ms. Lane, directly or through intermediaries, will be documented and treated as stalking and harassment under applicable law." We sent it by registered mail and copied her attorney. A paralegal's Gmail account, as it turned out. A week later, her entire social media presence vanished. No posts, no stories, no influencer deals. For 48 hours, it was as if Amber Lane had evaporated from the internet. Then, like a phoenix reborn from the ashes of self-pity, she came back. New handle, new tone, same hunger. Her first post was a black and white selfie, tears on her cheeks, captioned, "Learning to forgive myself for loving too deeply." Then another, a close-up of her face with mascara streaks. "Some people will break your heart and then call it growth. But I'm reclaiming my power." By the third, she turned it into a full-blown narrative. Screenshots of vague messages from the ex, cropped just enough to remove context. A story highlight titled "Healing Journey." She didn't name me outright. She didn't have to. Her followers knew. And they mobilized like a digital militia. It started with comments under my company posts. "Wow, this the guy. Looks successful on paper, but imagine what he's like in private." Then came the DMs. Hundreds of them. "You ruined her life. She trusted you. How do you sleep at night?" I had to make my LinkedIn private, then my Instagram, then even my personal email started getting messages from burner accounts. Amber had rewritten the script, and this time I was the villain. The emotionally unavailable career guy who broke the heart of the innocent dreamer. She was the brave, heartbroken heroine, rising above toxicity. Her follower count exploded. Brands loved a comeback story. She even launched a podcast, Unfiltered Healing. The irony was biblical. Every episode was a vague retelling of a relationship with a man who couldn't handle a powerful woman. My friends texted me excerpts. I didn't listen. I didn't need to, because I already knew her game, tragedy rebranded as content. Still, it stung. Watching lies become entertainment while the truth sat quietly in my hard drive, in a folder labeled Evidence. Screenshots, emails, timestamps, all the receipts no one ever asked for. I thought about posting them, going public, reclaiming the story. But that would mean playing her game, feeding the algorithm she worshipped. So I didn't. Instead, I took the quieter path, reported the harassment, documented everything, and kept my distance. But silence didn't sit well with her. She needed reaction, attention, conflict, proof that I still cared. And when she didn't get it, her healing started to fracture. The posts got darker, the captions less coherent. She began contradicting herself, slipping up in ways only I would notice. Changing dates, inventing arguments that never happened, quoting messages I'd never sent. People began to notice. The comments turned skeptical. Wait, didn't you say he dumped you? Something's not adding up. And slowly, the tide started to turn. Her engagement plummeted. Sponsors pulled back. Followers drifted away. Amber Lane's brand, her beautiful, curated, invincible brand, was cracking. And for the first time in our entire relationship, I didn't lift a finger to help her fix it. Time did what time always does. It softened everything. The noise around Amber's meltdown faded into digital dust, buried under the next wave of online drama. People moved on. So did I. Months passed. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that she was dating a real estate guy. Handsome, camera-ready, all sharp suits and sunset selfies. Her captions had evolved, softer fonts, spiritual hashtags, faux humility. One photo popped up on my Explore feed by accident. Amber, leaning against a rooftop balcony, her new boyfriend kissing her forehead. When you finally meet someone who deserves your light sparkles. The comments glowed beneath it. So happy for you. You're glowing girl. Proof that healing brings the right person. I stared at it for a moment, then smiled. Not bitterly, not smugly, just amused. Because for the first time I truly didn't care. Her life was still a performance. Mine wasn't. I didn't need to curate my happiness anymore. I lived it, quietly, without filters or applause. Now I'm 32. Director of sales at the same company where I once begged for harder clients. I manage a team of 15, mentor new hires, and spend weekends hiking or cooking instead of scrolling. I don't check analytics, not for myself anyway. The irony is, my real success came when I stopped trying to look successful. Then I met Mia. She works in analytics, numbers, data, clarity. No filters, no follower count. We met at a client conference. Bonded over our mutual hatred of jargon and cold coffee. She laughed when I told her my story. Not at me, but with that quiet understanding that comes from someone who's been through their own version of digital nonsense. Our first photo together wasn't even planned. A friend snapped it while we were eating tacos on the hood of my car. I never posted it. Neither did she. It just lived on my phone. Proof that not everything worth remembering has to be shared. My friends love her. My family loves her. But more than that, I like who I am when I'm with her. One night, Mia asked, "Do you ever think about her? The influencer." I thought about it. "Not really," I said. "She's a brand. I'm a person. We just lived in different realities." She smiled. "Good. Stay in yours." I did. A few weeks ago, someone sent me a link. Amber's newest venture. A lifestyle brand, of course. Online courses about healing from toxic relationships. A polished website with her crying selfie turned into a logo. Her new boyfriend featured as co-founder and spiritual partner. It was almost poetic. She turned pain into content again. Still chasing the same algorithm that once cost her everything real. I didn't hate her for it. In a strange way, I pitied her. Because the saddest thing about people who live for validation is that they never get full, they just keep refreshing. Meanwhile, my life finally fit. Not into a feed, but into my own skin. Last weekend, Mia and I walked through Zilker Park at sunset, holding coffee cups instead of phones. A busker was singing an old Springsteen song, the kind my dad used to play in the garage. The light was perfect, that golden hour influencers chase like a drug. I didn't take a picture. I didn't need to, because in that quiet, ordinary moment, I realized something Amber never did. Happiness doesn't need an audience. She found the perfect guy for her feed. I found someone for real life. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't the promotion or the polished post or the viral moment. It's peace. It's waking up next to someone who doesn't need to perform love to feel it. It's the silence that doesn't need to be filled with applause. No hashtags, no captions, just life, unfiltered. And the best part? No one needs to like it for it to be real.